Hey folks, John with Complete Technology Solutions, your friend in the computer business. Guys, take a look at Stumpy. Can you guess what we're doing today? Well, if you'll recall, I said yesterday, let's do a little bit of cooking. And that's what we're going to do, guys. So I had a bunch of orders that came in for some of these HDP50s and HDP50 compacts. So we're going to go ahead and change the orange to black. But this one, guys, this one's for me. This is that TM4 that we did a video on. If you guys haven't seen that, there's a link in the description. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and get started turning this bad boy the right color. Here we go. So when I looked at that TM4, the first thing I thought is, why did they put the blue on there? Well, obviously it's because they're labeled as training rifles, and they didn't want them to be mistaken for actual M16s or AR-15s or M4s or whatever you want to call it. Well, in this case, we want something that looks a little better, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that as well. So what I'm going to do, guys, you have seen me strip all of these a dozen times. There's nothing to it, so we're not going to go through these two. But on this one, we are going to go ahead and pull this apart together so I can show you how to do it. Now, you've heard me refer to this as the furniture. Now, furniture is anything that you can actually stick on the outside of the weapon. So when I say that you can use the furniture from an M4 or an M16 or an AR-15, assuming it matches the barrel length you've got, all of the furniture will actually fit this. And to give you an idea of how that actually works, you pull down on this retainer ring, and the top half and bottom half of this, the hand grip here, will actually come off. You see how that's separating? And you can use, I've usually got a little bit of a, this is to separate like cell phones, but it will help you separate the two halves. Once you get the two halves apart, the entire unit will come apart like that. And then you can actually remove the bottom grip, and you can remove the top grip. Note this little ring is actually what holds it in place, so that will stay on the weapon. All right, we're going to go ahead and drop the magazine because we are going to disassemble this, and I want to show it to Stumpy there. It looks like, now I have never taken one of these apart, guys, so we're going to do that one together. The handle itself, it looks like it is just one Allen key, and it is the largest one that is, I'll bet it's the largest one that is actually in the iFixit kit. And what you're going to do, guys, let me give you a little show of that. There is an Allen key right down there, and I don't know if Stumpy's going to pick that up or not. But what we're going to do is we're going to get in there and unscrew that. There we go. And that will free the handle. Here we go, and out. And that's the bolt that you're taking out. And that freed the handle. So now we've got the handle there. Let's go ahead and take a look at this magazine and see what we're going to have to do to get it converted. So we're going to need our Phillips screwdriver. And it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws on this side. So let's go ahead and we're going to pull those out. And I am going to try to keep these more or less in the position that they are on the magazine when I take them out and set them down. Because obviously we need to, we have to take them all the way out. We can't leave them in like we do on the mods. Because, although those two are the same length, let's see if these are the same length. And it looks like it might be the same length. Nope, actually those are longer. So that's why we're doing that. You'll see I'm setting them out. You guys probably can't see it over here. I'll show Stumpy in just a second. I'm setting them out right next to each other in the order that they are being removed. That way, we can replace them right back where they were. Okay, so those three were longer screws. Let's see what this one is here. There we go. Yep, those are longer screws. So the bottom two were short. All of the rest of them appear to be the longer screws. That's correct. All right, so bottom two are short. The rest of them are the longer ones. Now, let's flip this over. And on this side, we've got two. We've got one right here on the bottom. Here we go. And we've got one up here on the top, and this appears to be some sort of a retaining screw. So see what that actually looks like? It retains that little pin right there. So I don't think we have to remove the pin, but we do have to remove the screw. So let's go ahead and pull that out. And there we go. Okay. Now it appears, guys, that I've never done this, but this is seamed, as you can see, all the way down. So now that all those screws are out, we should be able to pull it apart. And I'm going to go super slow because honestly, I have no idea what's about to happen, and this thing could dynamite on us. So let me get these out of the way. We'll do all this on Stumpy so you can see it with me here. All right, there we go. Let me get a separator. We're going to go nice and slow, guys, because honestly, I don't know what we're going to find. And just like on the other ones, if you don't know, go slow. Yes, I just made a rhyme. And as you can see, the spring right there, that is actually compressing. So we want to be real careful with that spring because obviously it's going to come flying out when we, just like that. There we go. And that is the spring mechanism. And we got to find that small part that it threw out. So hold on one second. Lucky for me, landed right by my foot. That's kind of cool. All right, so that's the follower. That's going to go right in there. And it's going to compress down to here. Now, when we put this back together, guys, that is going to be a little challenging unless we can go in from the top, but I don't think we can because it appears that that mechanism sits like this and rides up and down there. So we're going to have to be real careful how we remount this, guys. But we'll get to that once we change the color. All right, so here we go. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, at this point, and it's something I always tell people to do, once you've got this apart, take a picture of the magazine, all right, because you want to see where everything is sitting. That way, if when you remove it, you'll be able to put it back in again. So we're going to lift up on the mechanism and remove it. Let's take out our little spring lock here and pull out the spring. Set that separately. Now we're going to lift the whole mechanism out, slow and steady. There we go. And out. All right, guys, so once we've got this magazine disassembled, I want to show you a couple things that are going to be important. Reassembling this magazine is not difficult, but these little levers right here can be kind of a pain in the butt to get on if you do it backwards. So once we get this all done, we're going to reassemble that magazine. Now, the rest of these, I'm not even going to, you don't even have to watch me disassemble this. You've seen me take these apart 100 times, this and the HDP50s over there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the follower and the spring. By the way, yes, in that last shot, that follower is what you saw go flying across the room. So when you separate the two halves of that magazine, be conscious that this spring is under, well, that much pressure. It's a very, very long spring, and it's under a lot of pressure in there. The next thing you're going to want to do is remove, this is the guide that actually holds the follower and keeps it from popping out and feeds in one round at a time, like a detent. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift up on that. That spring is under very, 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 very intense pressure right there. So you want to lift up on this mechanism and remove that spring, which, as you can see, it stayed attached, and that mechanism. All right, guys, so taking a look at this body, this plastic is considerably thicker than, and I mean considerably thicker, guys. I mean, I can't even show you how dense that is. That is some thick stuff right there. So I'm curious to see what the dye process does to this. Tell you what we're going to do. As you can see, we've got the handle, we've got both of our grips, and we got our magazine. Let me get the rest of this disassembled. Be right back with you, and we're going to move into the kitchen. Here we go. All right, guys, so this pot, I've actually cooled it down a little bit. It was getting a little bit rumbly. It is gigantic, as you can actually see. I've actually got it on high still, but we're not actually boiling. You can see it brought it up to a boil, then slow and cooled it down again, but it's really hot in there. So let's go ahead and let's pour in our Rit Dye. Now, so we're going to do a pot this gigantic. We're going to go ahead and use this entire bottle. I don't think that would be necessary, but we want to get a nice mixture of color all over everything here. So we're going to go ahead and do it that way. There we go. And I had somebody on the last video asking me about the possibility of doing multiple colors. And yes, you can. There's no reason that you couldn't do a pink gun or a blue gun or any other color gun that you wanted to. By the way, I want to let you guys know if this, you'll notice these tongs have actually got a rubber coating on the end here. This is a whole lot easier on the, I worry about scratching some of the plastic pieces as we're dyeing them. So we're going to go ahead and use the rubber ones for the future. So here we go. So we're going to go ahead and put these in here. Just drop them on in no particular order here, guys. You know the drill. Ah, there go the blue. First time. Here we go. There we go. And in goes the grip. All right, now you guys know the drill. We got to keep these things moving in here because you do not want them on the bottom of the pot to sit there on the heat. All right, so we're going to keep on stirring here. And we're going to give this about 3 minutes, guys. That's the standard that we figured out last time. I'm watching this little clock right here. Now, we're going to look at it in between to see if it actually is the full 3 minutes that we need or if we even need that much time. But 3 minutes seems to be the magic number for me. And as you can see, blue is already starting to take some color. That's what we want to see. Yeah, the blue one's the one I'm curious about. We know that the black ones are going to, or the orange ones rather, are going to color correctly because we've done them about 100 times. But we are definitely curious about the blue. All right, so let's let this go here. And actually, in a pot this size, guys, I almost would have used 2 things of Rit Dye. But we didn't need to. I don't think, oh, well, we'll see. I don't think we need to. Everything seems to be taking color nicely at this point. Keeping it moving off the bottom of there. There we go. And yes, this can get a little messy, guys, so you want to be real careful. Make sure you've got, things around you because little black spots will go everywhere. And if you're wearing clothing that's not black, be super careful when doing this. All right, there we go. And we can see some color starting to take shape there. That's what we're looking for. But we are not going to rush it because this temperature is a little lower than last time. I'm trying something out here. All right, let's let that go for just a second here. Tell you what we're going to do. I am going to... Got to keep those moving off the bottom there, guys, because we do not want these resting on the bottom at all. And that includes the grip, which is the heaviest part, so we got to make sure we keep it moving around too. There we go. And we are starting to dye. There we go. Slowly but surely, dyeing them, dyeing them, dyeing them. So right now we are at a little over 2 minutes, and this might go a little longer than 3, although it's starting to take shape. Looking good. Let's keep it going. So I'm thinking this probably would have dyed a little bit faster had I used a little less water and a little more Rit Dye. But I don't think it's going to matter. It just means it's going to take a little bit longer to get all of them done. So here we go. There we go. And obviously the water amount had to do with the concept of putting 5 different accessories in the same pot. So, okay, letting that go. So right now we are at 3 minutes, a little over 3 minutes. So we're going to keep on going here. We're not going to rush it. Tell you what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to fast forward this video. I'm going to let this run for a little bit, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, guys, so here's what we've got. Well, you can't really see the clock over here. Right now, that took about 13 minutes using that giant pot dyeing these. But as you can see, oh, yes, guys, that is the result we were looking for. Tell you what, let me rinse them. I'm going to head back in the other room. Let's reassemble them, and let's see what we've got. Here we go. Hey, guys, take a look at Stumpy there. Now, if you can look at this and tell me that they do not look better, and I mean all of them with that, well, then I just don't think you're in the right place. They look amazing. Now, guys, I'm going to point this one out to you. I cannot be the only person out there that thinks that, and I mean, look at that. Look how the grip, look at the grip, guys, how it took that color. That is not the way that ought to be sold. Now, look. This is silly that I have to say this, okay? This is ridiculous that I have to say this, but I'm going to anyway. This is done for educational purposes, guys. Showing you how to change the color and to dye plastic is educational. Do not repeat this unless you check your local laws and restrictions and make sure that this is something you can actually have. Yes, it is a fantastic launcher, but if you once you do this, There's not a human alive that can look at that and tell you what it is without knowing what it is. So use some common sense here, guys. Seriously. And like I said, I know that 99.9% of you guys out there, I don't need to tell this to. This is for educational purposes. Don't do anything silly. Now, one other thing I want to tell you about this one. The TM4, this has actually inspired me to do a totally new video on nothing but the rebuild of that magazine. And I'll tell you why. That magazine, the way it's constructed, is very fickle. And if everything isn't in the exact right place when you put it back together, which, by the way, dynamites when you open it if you're not careful, nothing will work on it. Now, it took me a long time to figure it out, and I have it down to a science now. So we're going to do a whole video exclusively dedicated to the TM4 teardown, the maintenance on it, the changing of the receiver bolt, and the magazine rebuild. I've got a magazine rebuild kit coming in. Even though this doesn't need it, we're going to go ahead and do one anyway. So all for you guys. Hey, guys, thank you so much for watching. You can't get better than that. That's awesome. I love these things, man. We will see you on the next video, and it's a good one. Somebody was asking me for this the other day and never even realized it was already in the chamber. Have a fantastic week, guys. Bye-bye.